Happy Thursday! Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. It is the last full show of the week because tomorrow I have to be at Yankee Stadium, so I'm going to pre-record with Mid-Major Matt. We're going to talk Major League Baseball on YouTube earlier in the day. But today we've got a jam-packed show with two of my favorite handicappers. You guys know that I love to give every single sport I possibly can on this show. So we are going to bring on the best NASCAR guy I know. Jim Son is going to talk NASCAR for this weekend. We've got Major League Baseball. Also, Tom Vecchio going to join the show at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, talk more Major League Baseball. If you guys missed anything that Coach had to say about Cooper Flagg and Bronny, I posted it to the Prop Queen Sports X page today and Instagram, YouTube, etc., where we talked about props for Bronny and Cooper Flagg tonight in probably the most expensive summer league game ever. We had some day baseball. If you follow along on the Prop Queen newsletter, you would have seen that David Peterson goes over his 5.5 strikeout prop by some miracle because he ends up. I hate this glare. I need to fix this glare. When Jim Sonis comes on, I'm going to fix the glare. By some miracle, David Peterson goes 7 innings in game 1 of the doubleheader between the Mets and the O's. The Mets, in classic Mets fashion, end up blowing the lead 1-0 and lose the game 3-1 to the Orioles. I gave out a prop that didn't hit in game 1 that I am almost certain is going to hit in game 2. We'll get to that later in the show. I never really liked hitters props before, but using props.cash, now I'm a hitters prop person. I've gotten better. We've been hitting them. We've been cashing hitters props. We've been cashing pitchers props. We've been cashing WNBA. Guys, we are on a 3-0 best bets run when my best bet correlates with props.cash. We're going for a 4-0 run today. 4 is kind of my unlucky number, though, so it won't shock me if we end up losing. We also had some WNBA action this afternoon. Oh, we had another Major League Baseball game. I did lose the prop that I gave out this morning on Colin Ray under his 17.5 outs. The guy looks like an absolute stud today. He ended up going over his outs prop. He went 21 outs. So the Cubbies crushed the Minnesota Twins. Chris Paddock sucks. I don't even know how he's still pitching. Arozarena, congratulations. Shawn Michael, by the way, got a dog. So he says on X. Says he got a puppy. Said I inspired him to get a puppy. That's incredible. So congratulations to Shawn Michael on a Rosarena and on getting a puppy. Joe Dollar, just in the car from the golf course. Perfect timing. We've got a lot to talk about today. It's a pretty big Major League Baseball card. We have one more WNBA game tonight, which is the only game I kind of liked. And guys, Wimbledon, that thing was insane today for the women and yesterday. So tomorrow, and for anybody who, Earl said 5 of the last 6 bets have cashed. We love to hear it. Love to hear it. Props.cash helping us all cash. You can track it on Pickit. You can find your bets on props.cash. We are just here to help you guys get more winners. Shawn Michael makes stuff up. That's my bad for giving Shawn Michael that reputation. He did. He made up a few stats. So I'm kind of figuring out if he's made up the puppy thing or not. But what we didn't make up is Pam and Why do you spell Djokovic with an N? It's with a D. Djokovic with a D, Shawn Michael. Come on. So Wimbledon live bets, absolute money. But Djokovic, remember, Pam Maldonado came out and said she likes Djokovic at plus 750 to win Wimbledon. Obviously, it means he has to go through Sinner and Alcaraz. I was just on VSiN from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And I interviewed Brad Wilson, who's a play-by-play and tennis handicapper. He said what we're forgetting is that Sinner actually had a ton of injuries a couple matches ago. People didn't even know if Sinner would make it through that match. He did by the skin of his teeth. And it was because of the pec injury suffered on the other side. I'm trying to remember who he played that match. But the pec injury ends up letting Sinner get through to the next round. Then he won in straight sets in the last round. So now Djokovic is getting Sinner. And Alcaraz is like a minus 450 favorite tomorrow morning in the first match against Taylor Fritz. Sinner is minus 235. That actually moved. It was minus 200. Now minus 235 Sinner. Djokovic plus 188. A great play that we gave out on VSiN, yes, Dimitrov, thank you, is the one that left the pec injury. The great play that was given out on VSiN actually for the Djokovic center match was for it to go for Djokovic plus 3.5, which I really like because you would assume Djokovic probably drops a set. It's never easy with Joker. He loses usually the first set, then somehow bounces back and sends you to 5 and wins in 5. So plus 3.5 for Djokovic, not so bad for tomorrow morning. So Alcaraz and Fritz are at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and Sinner and Djokovic 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I am pumped, but I'm also sad because it means it's almost over, and I'm loving waking up so early in the morning and getting to bet Wimbledon. Major League Baseball. I'm trying to remember. We have the Mets-Orioles game starting now. We have Marlins-Reds starting now. So before I bring on Jim Sonis, who is going to join the show to talk all things. Oh, I forgot that we have these games starting at 5. So they're going to be on the graphic anyway. And I'm going to tell you guys some of these 5 o'clock props real quickly. So if you want to get them in, you can. Now I have to see the timing on them. So Marlins, Reds. I had a hitter's prop in that. Marlins. Okay, so the Marlins catcher, Agustin Ramirez, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. So Ramirez hits better on the road and against lefties. In those spots, Ramirez has gone over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI in 7 of the last 10 and 4 of the last 5. He's also had success against Cincinnati, averaging 3.8 hits, runs, and RBI, going over 1.5 in 4 of 5, 2 of 3 in Cincy. The other one, which I just mentioned at the top of the show, and I should have given it out, Juan Soto over his hits, runs, and RBI. I loved it in game 1. It didn't hit, but I love it again in game 2. It's probably not still available, but if you follow it in the propqueen.com newsletter, you would have had it first thing this morning because Juan Soto is going over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI in 70% of games against Baltimore this season. He's got a career 308 batting average against the O's and hit 346 in Camden Yards. And let's not forget, the Orioles have the 6th worst bullpen in baseball, and they're in the second game of a doubleheader. They got lucky with Charlie Morton going like 6 innings, but come on, the O's bullpen sucks. Juan Soto should go over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI today in game 2. I'm holding a 6-1 Joker. Good job, ES Gooner 7. Marlins Red starts in 2. And remember, we hate Nick Lodolo, and he's starting today. We do not bet Nick Lodolo. So Shawn Michael, do not come at me about Nick Lodolo today. I'm not having it. We are not talking about him. He is in the graveyard for the rest of the season. So any way that I could fade Nick Lodolo, like by going with a hitter's prop for a catcher out of Miami, I'm going to do it. No Nick Lodolo, which is good because Jim Sonis is about to join the show and he will not be talking about Nick Lodolo. Welcome to the show, Jim Sonis.
I wouldn't celebrate yet, Ariel, because there are some other lefties who have struggled. So maybe we're replacing Nick Lodolo with 2 Nick Lodolos instead. So condolences in advance. I'm sorry.
He started out my baseball season horrifically because we bet overs on Nick Lodolo's strikeout prop against the Giants in back-to-back starts against the Giants. Well, not back-to-back, but like his 2 starts against the Giants this year. And he went under in both for no reason at all. Like there was no reason he should have gone under.
I had at least one of those, so I was with you there, unfortunately.
Right, because if you go under in the first game, but you're supposed to go over, then the second game, you just assume you go over. Doesn't work that way.
It's tough, yep.
The baseball gods definitely don't always love us. But let's go through your card for today in Major League Baseball, and then we're going to dive in to some NASCAR because the only time I ever get NASCAR on the show is with you. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts. But first, Major League Baseball. We kind of are on opposite sides here on Strider. It could go both ways. I understand the rationale for the value play on the under. Why would you have the audacity to fade one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball?
Well, I don't want to. I'll tell you that first, because Spencer Strider, when he's healthy, is arguably the most fun pitcher to watch in all of baseball. So betting it under there is not enjoyable. So if you're just like going for vibes and you want to have some fun, maybe skip this one. But the reason that I show value in the under for Strider is I can't get to a projection to justify having the under at plus 116. I think that it should be A little less than that. I have it closer to probably even money, maybe even a bit less than that, favored to go under. Because even if I look at his most optimistic split, which would be the 5 games where his velocity's been up, he's been throwing more sliders. I still have a strikeout, like a baseline projection for Strider of 32%. That's a good strikeout baseline projection for him. And that'd be a good number. But when I give him that baseline strikeout number as like his like baseline strikeout rate, his projection is 7.48 strikeouts. That's a good number, but it's still going to show value on the under with the way that things are distributed, at least based on my projections. I would still take the under if you were projected at 7.48 strikeouts. I have this baseline lower than that 32%, though, because you look at that 5-start sample. 4 of those starts were at home, and Truist Park in Atlanta is the most strikeout-friendly park in all of baseball, whereas Sutter Health Park in where the A's are playing is 22nd in strikeout park factor, so a much worse spot for him than what he's had in those starts where his strikeouts have been up. He also had 13 strikeouts in one of those games, not quite as much in the other one. So the strikeouts kind of concentrated in one of those starts. So even with Strider's velocity being up, even with the slider usage being up as well, I still can't quite get to this number. I think that like a more fair projection for me on Strider is 6.99 strikeouts, which is where I do have him for tonight. And we're getting plus money on the under. So it stinks. I don't like betting against Strider, but I have bet a lot of unders on pitchers pitching at this Sutter Health Park this year because hasn't been super friendly for strikeouts in general, but also just a hitter's paradise overall. So a couple paths to me for an under. So yeah, it stinks. I agree with you that if I were in an ideal world, I could never bet unders on Spencer Strider. But for tonight, I do think the best value is on the under for his strikeout prop here.
J-Main34 says he thinks Strider gets hit up tonight. Matter of fact, he bet is over 2.5 earned runs. We've seen that the park has been letting the ball fly out at Sutter Health Park.
Yep.
Right, Sutter Health Park. All these minor league baseball parks are confusing. But we've seen the ball fly out of there. Any thoughts on that earned runs?
Yeah, I guess I haven't personally built out a model for earned runs, and it's another way I can avoid betting against Spencer Strider. So I probably would sit that one out personally. He's done a pretty good job of suppressing hard contact. 37% hard hit rate allowed in that aforementioned sample with the velo up and the slider usage up. So he's been pretty good there. Not a lot of fly balls either. I've have found a lot of success, looking at that from a DFS perspective as well, like looking at that park. This one, though, where it is Strider, I do like him as much as I do. I'd probably sit that one out and go more towards the strikeout prop as being the ideal way if you're looking to fade Strider.
I can't believe that we're on a show where you're going to fade strikeouts for Spencer Strider, then go over on Patrick Corbin K's. I get the plus money. It's all in the good value there. Why are you going over on Corbin?
Yeah, he's actually been okay this year. Like he's been a punching bag for a while now, honestly. But there were times second half of last year where he was starting to do a better job of suppressing hard contact. Now his results were still really bad. So I thought, okay, underlying data is misleading here. I can write that off. And went into 2025 thinking the same thing. Okay, Rangers bring him up. I can still bet against this guy, still feel good betting K props under and stuff like that. But the sample's gotten larger and he's still been pretty good. I look specifically at the past 12 starts for Corbin. Fewer four-seam fastballs in that time. His four-seamer stinks. So if fewer four-seam fastballs, a good thing for him. Strikeout rate's still just okay at 18.5%. So that's a low number for sure. But tonight, he's facing an Angels team that does have a very high strikeout rate against lefties, 26.3% for them on their current active roster against lefties, and they never walk. 5.9% walk rate. So that allows pitchers to be efficient against them in terms of pitch count. And Corbin in general is efficient with his pitches too. So yes, he is on the road, but high strikeout matchup. He's been pretty good this year. He goes pretty deep in games as far as pitch count goes. And the Angels should allow him to be decently efficient too. So when you add all that up, I got Corbin projected at 5.19 strikeouts here. That's definitely enough for me to show value in the over when we're getting plus money at plus 106.
I actually gave this out in the propqueen.com newsletter. So nice. I always say I don't like to bet the same thing to happen twice because Corbin did have 6 strikeouts against the Angels earlier this year. However, lefties are hitting the over in 12 of the 16 starts they've had against the Angels, averaging just over 6 Ks a game. Does it ever scare you the way it does me that when a pitcher like a Corbin already went over, maybe it doesn't happen in game 2? Like, I agree with you for sure. It's just the laws of baseball.
Right. I think it depends on when that game occurred. Because for me, I worry most if that game was recent, because it means that that opposing offense has seen that pitcher. And I don't like familiarity. That to me is the scariest thing is, okay, this team just saw this
It
guy.
was a while ago. It was his
Yeah.
second start of the season back on April 16th.
Exactly. So they've had some time. They haven't just researched this guy. They haven't just been watching tape for this guy a couple weeks ago. So they don't have that familiarity, not seeing the ball off his hand maybe as well. That to me is not an issue. I worry most if it is back-to-back starts against the same team or if there's only one start in between, because then that tape is still pretty fresh in the batter's minds. That's a spot where I do worry. But for me personally, it's really more about that familiarity more so than anything.
This other prop for Logan Allen, I looked at this and I will tell you the only thing that scared me off this over, because I think everything else aligns for Logan Allen, who's a lefty, to go over against the high K rate White Sox team. He had 3 and 4 last year against Chicago.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that scared me off this prop, because why the hell, Logan Allen, against the bad White Sox team that strikes out a lot against lefties, did you only have 3 and 4 last year?
Honestly, it makes sense because he's been struggling both last year and this year. I still think that there's some talent in Logan Allen. It hasn't really shown so far in the big leagues yet. His career strikeout rate, 19.7%. That's not going to get you too excited. His swinging strike rate this year is 7.3%. That's pretty bad. Underlying numbers for him, not quite as good as the results. They 4.07 ERA. So I can understand the struggles for him, given that that's kind of been what he's been so far as a pitcher, is not some guy who will blow you away. But as you mentioned, that strikeout rate for the White Sox is key. They're at 27.5% on their active roster against lefties, which is the highest mark in all of baseball. That's going to get you a pretty big boost to your projection when that is the case. So I've been burnt. I mean, maybe Logan Allen's my Nick Lodolo, where he's a guy who I've bet on his overs before in good matchups, and he did not come through, but he does go deep in games. I'm projected for 97 pitches here. Good matchup for him. It is on the road, which is not ideal, but I have him projected at 5.6 strikeouts. I feel like that might be a little high, but I need that number to be high to justify laying. I think it's back down to minus 122.
The White Sox
now.
average 6.4 strikeouts a game against lefty starters.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll happily take that. You know, I didn't look towards alt overs here. I a lot of times will look towards alt overs when my strikeout projection differs enough from like the baseline mark. 5.6 versus 4.5. There's a pretty big differential there. I don't like Allen enough to go towards the alt market here, so I did settle with the baseline number. Again, I think it's around minus 122 right now in the over for Allen. I think that's a fair number. If it's back to 130, I can't go any further than that. Like if it's even like minus 135, it'd be a pass for me, because I got about 57% or so to go over this number. We're getting pretty close to that being at the fair value, but minus 130, minus 120, anywhere between there or longer, then we can go here, despite the fact Allen is a guy who I still question the overall abilities here.
Understood. Okay, Jim Sanas. So I play this game sometimes. Usually I do this on my own, but sometimes with guests who fit the narrative, I like to play this game. It's called propaganda. I basically tell you, and we're going to do it on a NASCAR,
Okay.
for NASCAR. I tell you the most bet on props or at this rate NASCAR drivers for the upcoming race. You're going to tell me what or who you're fading, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's get to it. Propaganda. It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Great. That's a great cut. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't get to make this all fancy because I just got this email. But these are the most bet on NASCAR drivers right now going into this week's race. Toyota Save Mart 350. Where is it again?
It is in Sonoma, wine country out in California.
Oh, okay. So I should have gone. So that's my bad. That's my kind of spot. But these are the most bet on ones. So obviously Kyle Larson, he is 6-1. He won last year. Highest ticket, Michael McDowell, Kyle Larson, and Chris Buescher. Highest handle, Shane Van Gisbergen, Michael McDowell, and Chris Buescher. Biggest liability is McDowell, Van Gisbergen, and Kyle Busch. Who are you fading of the public?
I'm the lowest on McDowell out of that group. I think that it stems a lot from what he's been saying. He had an issue in Chicago where he actually won the opening stage, got the lead from SVG to start that race out, and he won the opening stage. He looked really good. pretty sure SVG was kind of coasting if I'm reading more into that. So I don't know how legitimate the speed was from McDowell, but he came out and he said that was the entree. Main course is coming in Sonoma. So he kind of called his shot. And he said, okay, I'm going to win this race. I still don't feel amazing about Spire, the team he drives for, on road courses. I think that the team that's done a really good job of improving their speed on big tracks. I haven't seen the road course program for them really, really excel. Justin Haley is a driver on that team who I rate pretty well on road courses. He struggled this year. Carson Osevar, I don't think is that great on road courses. That's not a huge surprise. But McDowell, prior to that stage win in Chicago, wasn't doing a whole lot. Now, maybe they uncovered something that kind of turned this team around. I'm still skeptical. I want to see a bit more. So he's 10-1 to win, as you mentioned, for this weekend. I have McDowell at 4.4% to win this race. So I'm pretty far off there. I'm also not super in line with the market on SVG. I've got him at 30% to win. So still easily number one in my simulations, but his implied odds are 41.7%. So fading him scares me. I will fade him via betting some outrights and other guys, but actively fading, no dice. Can't do that. I need a big payoff in order to justify betting against McDowell. And that would be via betting outrights. But of those guys, McDowell to me is the one who I am lowest on relative to the public.
Fade the public. Michael McDowell, we fade you. Let's go to what you actually like this weekend. So Christopher Bell to win it all, 21-1. Why?
Again, I need a big payoff. I'm going to bet against Van Gisbergen because, again, I've got him at 30% to win this race, and it's possible I'm too low. I don't think I am, frankly, because I've bet Van Gisbergen in 2 out of 3 road courses this year. Bet him at COTA, which he did not win. Bet him Mexico City, which he did win. Did not bet him at Chicago. Should have. Last week was pretty close at the opening odds. I had him around 30%. He was around 33% implied, so didn't show value. Couldn't quite bet him, and I was sad as he was dominant in that race. So I don't think I'm too low on SVG, and that allows me to have more faith in the value my model is showing elsewhere. And the chief value is Christopher Bell. Again, 21-1 to win this race. That is despite the fact, mentioned that SVG did not win COTA. That's because Christopher Bell did. He was awesome towards the end of that race, bumped Kyle Busch out. He just raced him pretty respectively, but did get by him in the closing laps to win that race. And then Bell finished second in Mexico City. So first and second, the first 2 road courses. Didn't do as well in Chicago, but had some issues there. And it's also just a weird course relative to what we see in Sonoma. Now, Sonoma is not Bell's best road course. His best finish here is 9th the past 2 years. So he's had a couple wins in road courses. They have not come here, but overall, a very good driver on road courses whose form on road courses this year has been phenomenal. And you're getting him at 21-1. So again, if you're betting someone to win, you need to say, I think this guy can beat SVG. Bell showed that. He did that exactly in COTA and finished second in Mexico City. So I think that Bell has the upside to actually beat Van Gisbergen, and I think that we're getting a massive discount on him at 21-1 just because Sonoma has not been his best road course thus far.
What do you have to say to Earl Burton, who says that Busch just hasn't had it this year?
Well, I think that that's a fair take. However, it's been a bit different on road courses because think back to Circuit of the Americas. I just mentioned that Christopher Bell had to fight his way to get past Kyle Busch in the closing laps in that race. Busch's average running position was second at Circuit of the Americas, had a real chance to win that race. Mexico City, he made a massive mistake and took it out the field, so that happens. Then last week in Chicago, he was running okay, made a pit stop and was trying to flip the stage, and he got caught speeding. So Busch went a lap down. And he got the lucky dog, got back in the lead lap. I hadn't finished top 5 in that race. I'm like, oh, well, okay. I guess it's the lost bet. But he rallied. He actually worked his way back up and made a pass in the final lap or second to last lap to wind up finishing 5th in that race. So cashing the tickets via that. And that ability to make up that much ground at a course that hasn't suited him super well in the past in Chicago, I thought that was very impressive. Sonoma is, I think, Busch's best road course. It's either that or Circuit of the Americas, but he's a 2-time winner here. He finished runner-up a couple years ago. He was going to finish top 5 here last year before Ross Chastain spun him on the final lap. So it's a good road course for him. Busch has been very good on road courses overall since joining Richard Childress Racing, and he's had good form on road courses this year when he has not made stupid mistakes running in the rain and, knocking guys off the track. So I think that at road courses, specifically, Busch does well. I prefer him top 5, but the top 5 market at FanDuel, he's plus 270 there. That's too short for me personally. if he were to lengthen on FanDuel before practice on Saturday, if you can get him like plus 325, plus 350, 4-1 somewhere in there, then I'd take the top 5 market for Busch versus the outright, because I have more concerns about him beating SVG than I do about Bell. But at current markets at FanDuel, 27-1 for Kyle Busch to me is long enough to overcome, I think, fair concerns about the upside he has shown the past couple seasons.
Yeah, 3-1 for Ross Chastain is enough for you to take his top 5. So I'm assuming the 3-1 is where you start to bite.
Yeah, that's a good number for me on Chastain. Chastain's actually higher in my model than Busch. He has longer win odds at 30-1, but for whatever reason, Chastain's top 5 odds are longer at 3-1. I have him at 28% for a top 5 because he's been really good on road courses in general, but specifically at Sonoma. 3 years here in the next gen car, and Ross has finished inside the top 10 all 3 of the seasons. Finished top 5 last year. That was a bit fluky because he did dump Busch on the last lap. I bet Busch at Sonoma top 5 last year too. It was very sad when Ross Chastain pulled this, but he did finish top 5 there. He had a decent car in Chicago, which is definitely his worst road course. I bet him top 10 there, and he did finish top 10, but wasn't like phenomenal by any means. But Chastain at Sonoma has been very good and has been a good road course racer overall. Of course, won at COTA back in 2022, and now Trackhouse Racing's road course program trending up via the expertise of Van Gisbergen, who is his teammate. So you get the overall gains within the team. You get Chastain at his second best road course. I think that COTA is better for him, but his second best road course at Sonoma, place he's run well recently. Overall from road courses this year has been fine for Chastain. It's definitely not blown me away, but it's been okay. It's been good enough though for me to like Chastain. Again, 28% for me for a top 5. Implied odds here are 25%. I'll take that gap. I'm willing to bet Chastain. I would say though, if you want to go with an outright on Chastain, that also is okay. I've got good value in him at 30-1 at FanDuel Sportsbook. So I think there are multiple routes for Chastain, given that he does have upside. He is chaotic. He can definitely bowling ball his way to a win when he wants to.
Hey, I love these names that aren't necessarily the household names, but it's always where you can make your money, especially when the course fits them correctly. Daniel Suarez, top 10, plus 270. I love me a top 10. Why Daniel Suarez at plus 270, and why at less than 3-1 does that work?
Well, I mentioned before that Chastain could be a bowling ball to work his way towards the top 5. Suarez has nothing to lose. He's already lost a job for next year. He needs to find a ride because Trackhouse Racing said they're going to drop him. Connor Zilic probably to come in there. This 18-year-old phenom who can battle Van Gisbergen on road courses. So like they're making the right choice, but Daniel Suarez, not a bad driver on road courses. He actually won Sonoma back in 2022, and he's going to be looking for a win because he's in the low 20s or the high 20s in points. He will not make the playoffs without a win, and they're going to be on the optimal strategy, trying to win this race at all costs because they have no other route to the playoffs. And again, Suarez needs to land a ride for next year. So he's won at Sonoma in the past. Hasn't been as good the past couple years. Did finish 14th here last year. He had a really good car at COTA a couple years ago too, won the opening stage and then got back in traffic. He spun, never really recovered from there. So the finishes for Suarez on road courses recently have not been good, especially this year. He's finished really poorly in 2 of those races. But one of those races got wrecked by Zilic on lap 50. Zilic kind of overran a corner and pummeled right into Suarez, who was his teammate in that race. So bad luck there for Suarez. Mexico City just wasn't amazing, despite the fact that's his home track. And then at Chicago last week, got caught up in a crash that was not of his own doing. So I think he's just had bad luck, frankly, and now goes to a course again where he has won in the past and has been overall pretty good on road courses. So Suarez, to me, plus 270, a very fair number. I have him at 31% for his top 10 this week. Implied odds here, 27%. So big enough gap for me to bet on Suarez to get a top 10 at a track that has been good to him in the past.
I know that people have been really into F1. Before I let you go, do you do F1?
I do, yeah. It's not something I feel as confident with my analysis as I do with NASCAR. I bet Pierre Gasly top 10s far too often, so I am into F1. Not
have you been to a race yet?
Oh no, I wish. That'd be amazing.
I heard they're awesome.
Yeah, that we were in Chicago for the NASCAR race last week, so that was enjoyable. But I've not gotten to an F1 race yet. Ideally, we like my wife and I talked like Singapore, maybe we want to go to, like as an excuse to go to Singapore, like to go to the F1 race there. We talked about like Circuit of the Americas in Austin. We've got some options and I want to get to one. We haven't quite mapped out the ideal way to do so just yet.
And Sean Michael wants to know about your favorite bobblehead behind you.
Oh, Byron Buxton, right up here. So Monday, I'm hoping his hand is okay
Same.
because he is my favorite baseball player of all time. Outside of it's either him or Johan
Why?
Santana. I grew up like he was the final like prospect when I was still like really cared about the Twins. And so it was like, okay, this guy's coming. He's gonna like resurrect the team, and I like constantly rooted for him. Never went well. All these injuries. I went to like a AAA game in Syracuse. Shout out Syracuse for you.
Shout out.
When he was playing there, when he was playing with Rochester, with the Twins AAA team, just to see Buxton play. He's finally like doing well, being the home run derby. It's his home state. He's a Georgia guy, so
Yep.
this is a Gold Glove
And he's like
bobblehead.
the
Yeah, for
the
Buxton.
actual only person that's really built for the home run derby.
Yeah,
Like
I'm gonna bet against him. Like I know that because you
right
actually
now,
like
Acuna's the only one with experience, right?
like you want heavy players. I was literally just digging into this before. You want heavy players. O'Neal Cruz weighs 240.
He
That is
was the name I was looking at too. He's like Robinson Cano type build.
yeah, him and James Wood are both heavy. And I know it's weird to say bet the heavy guys and not bet Cal Raleigh, given the nickname.
I agree.
But I do think that O'Neal Cruz, I need to see the odds, obviously, but Buxton so far
I
is the
just am
lightest
concerned
guy.
how little experience so many of these players have in a derby.
Yeah, and like that could be an issue. I don't believe Teoscar Hernandez had been in one before last year, so that was good. He was 14-1, got the win there. I was in a tornado warning, so I was like in a closet as he wanted to get to like celebrate Hernandez winning. But he fit the bill. 215 is his weight, was his weight last year. So I want heavy dudes. That's not Buxton, unfortunately, but I will root against my bets that I will inevitably have against him to try to get my boy Byron a trophy there.
Well, we'll get you on and we'll have to talk about it next week because I want to hear our official analysis on the home run derby when the odds do come out, because I want nothing more than to hear your projections and also love to get on tape when people fade their favorite players.
Yeah.
Jim Thomas, thank you as always for the NASCAR plays, the MLB plays. You are the best. Good luck today and this weekend. I will speak to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
Always. Coming up now, we've got more Major League Baseball talk. I feel like I'm back on my SportsGrid days because I got Chinsanis and now it's Tom Vecchio. It's like the morning after, till bet to us part. That's only for the OGs. I had to give it to the OGs. Coming on now, we've got my good friend, always comes on the show, and I know that Sean Michael's going to be pumped to hear it. It is Tom Vecchio. Nope, I messed up. Tom Vecchio, what's up?
How are you? A lot of home run talk. Derby's coming up next week. If we just want to like jump into it, obviously there's no odds, so there's like nothing to break down, but I always like to look at it in terms of not only, who has good odds, but we also have to consider the path that the players take, which is something, like they have the bracket, like head-to-head matchups. Like just because you like a player, he actually might have a very difficult path in order to get just past one round.
Yeah, ask Ronald Acuna, who's lost to Pete Alonso, and both times he's been in it.
So, but there are ways to go around that where there will be over-unders for total home runs in the first round. So, in theory, you like a player to advance, he probably is going to be going over 20 or 22 and a half, whatever these home run props are going to be at. So, like, there are multiple ways to go about it, and you can often pick up multiple wins if a player just advances 1 or 2 rounds.
You still feel that way, though, about players like majority of this home run derby that haven't participated before?
Yeah, I'm looking at the updated list now because Brent Rooker was announced earlier today. So Cal Raleigh, Wood, Caminero, Buxton, Cruz, Acuna, Rooker, and then they need one more.
Yeah.
So it's obviously going to be interesting. Like experience does play a part in it. When was it? Over the weekend, I was watching the Red Sox broadcast when they were at the Nats. They were just dominating the Nats, and I had James Wood for a hit, which he of course did not get. But they said that the days prior, he was out there at batting practice running through like a dry run where they were just constant soft tossing him at the speed that they would in the home run derby. So it's not just like normal batting practice. It's like they're going to be firing the balls at him under a timer to get him the practice that he needs.
Wow, that's really interesting. I love to hear that. The only person that is outside of Ronald Acuna that has experience in this is Junior Caminero.
Yeah.
But not him. It's his pitcher. Because
Okay.
Randy Arozarena had the Rays Major League Fields coordinator Tomas Francisco pitch to him in the 2023 Home Run Derby, and that's who Junior Caminero is going to have pitched to him. So the only person with experience is not the guy hitting the ball, but the guy throwing it that's not named Ronald Acuna Jr.
I mean, that's a slight edge. Like, that's important information to have. Like, the pitcher throwing it, a batting practice balls, whatever you want to call it, like, they need to know the rhythm, the timing. They need to know, when they need to speed things up, give the hitters a second just to catch their breath. Obviously, they get the designated timeouts and all these sorts of things, but any edge that you can get, any extra experience is not a bad thing.
A few edges. So Acuna obviously is at his home park. Only two other players have won at their home park before.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Cal Raleigh's dad pitching to him.
Yeah.
Then, as we said, Junior Caminero. Do you care that someone's dad's pitching to them?
No. Like, when was it? When did Ronald? No, you just Cano won when they were in Arizona when his dad was pitching to him.
Yes. Someone else's dad pitched to him recently too, but didn't win.
I don't even remember what year that was.
2013,
2014, something when Robinson Cano won. I think it was in Arizona. But dad, they have sometimes former coaches. Like, I would want some familiarity. Like, that would be great.
Yeah. No.
So,
I agree. But now this home run derby could go both ways, because I don't love that we don't have, I don't want to say not big names, but we definitely don't have veteran presences.
Okay.
We don't have Vladdy Guerrero. We don't have Pete Alonso. We don't have these big slugging and Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. There's no big slugging name in here. And yes, Cal Raleigh's having an awesome year, but we're talking these consistent sluggers. Yeah. It's all young players, which on the other hand could be very good because they'll actually care and not be so in their head and worried about getting hurt because they're young and 22 years old. Yeah,
it really comes down to, like, how much do you want to, like, and I don't mean you, but like the proverbial you for like anyone. It's like, how much do you want to like dig into it? Because you could look at, like Jim said on the previous segment, talking about like the players' weight, like that does impact things. And you'd be like, oh, X amount of winners over the past 10 years are meet this criteria. You could look at a player, like what would be like bat speed would be important.
Which is what O'Neal Cruz has.
Yeah, like someone like, I would have loved to seen in it is Riley Green from the Tigers. He has a very steep bat path, which they talk about on the broadcast all the time. So if you wanted to dig into it, you could be like, all right, I want the combination of bat path plus bat speed plus the proper like home run to fly ball ratio, like all those things you could spend the time. Now, it's obviously not to say that's like you're going to guarantee yourself a win, but like the more time you want to put into it, you can, because we are dealing with such a unique format. The one suggestion I would make is, because this is an all-star format, as I say with every all-star game, decrease the unit size. Like, have fun with it, but you got to understand that like a player having 15 home runs and bombing out in the first round is totally possible. So like, don't go spending your normal unit size.
Let's talk about how we can make some money tonight. Before I put your card up on the screen, you have no hitters prop, no parlay?
I had one earlier in the day. PCA came through. I had the Pete parlay of Pete Crow Armstrong and Pete Alonso, and PCA came through. He had an amazing day. The Cubs won. They crushed. He had 2 home runs plus whatever else, and Pete Alonso did not come through, despite the fact that he did have a good batted ball, which I forget which defender made a good play, and he just couldn't beat out the infield single. He's not the fastest guy. But we move on to tomorrow. Like, and this is what happened. Like, one was like 3 weeks ago I was here. I was like, listen, it hasn't been great. And then it was awesome. Now we're like, it's up and down. It's just like, we're back to another week. Like, Story has been killing me. Story was killing me the other day. Aranda's a totally fine play, but Story, I can't go back to him. Also, I want to go on a rant, but fielder's choices, why are they not hits? He beat out the play. He beat out the double. It was a double play ball that Trevor Story had, and he beat it out. So, like,
does the fielder's choice count as total bases?
No, it doesn't count as anything. Like, if you have a fielder's choice, it will be. He'll
basically,
go like 0
you
for
better
1.
hope that you have a hits, runs, and RBI prop, and they score a run.
I mean, it's
the only way for a fielder's choice to matter.
Yeah, if you get an RBI off of it, like was it Jazz got one last night when they got single to start.
Tom, Mark wants to know who wins the AL.
So I was actually just talking about this the other day. Instead of taking the outrights, let me see if I can find these odds real quick. So the where are we? League winners right here. So Tigers at plus 240. Blue Jays are at plus 850, which honestly, you kind of missed the boat on the Blue Jays. Not saying Mark has missed the boat. I think if you're trying to bet it now, that's the wrong way to do it. The way to go about it is to bet the exact result. So if you do think the Tigers are going to end up beating the Jays, you should just go to exact result. Tom's a Tiger hater. That could not be further from the truth. I am one of the biggest Tiger supporters out there. Tigers to beat the Blue Jays would be at 20-1, or you take Tigers to beat the Yankees at 12-1. So like effectively you're getting a better price on the Tigers instead of at plus 240 to win the ALCS. You're getting them at 12-1 to win the ALCS, but then it has to be the exact outcome. And if they do get to the playoffs, those teams, you can hedge out and take different opportunities there. I am
Especially
a massive.
if you don't know the playoff format, because the way
Right.
that the rankings could go, you could lose that bet right away.
Right. And that's important. And Tigers are in a spot to get a first round bye, which is the way it works now. And I'm a massive Tigers supporter. I want to see a Tigers Cubs World Series. I want to be on the record right now. Despite being a Yankees fan, I just don't think they're going to make it. I want to see Tigers Cubs World Series. I think that would be awesome.
Of course, that would happen the year that I decide to not bet futures on the Cubs. The same way the Padres will probably go far, because the first year I decided to not bet the Padres. Somehow it's going to be some miracle comeback, the Padres, and I'm going to be upset. But either way, I did have the Tigers. So okay. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Let's talk about tonight, Tom. You like the over. Braves Athletics, Strider's on the mound. Why going over?
It's going to be like 100 degrees there. It's good. It is literally phenomenal hitting weather with wind blowing out. It's only, 6, 7, 8 mile per hour wind, but the park is absolutely amazing for run scoring. This is nothing new. We've seen this since the beginning of the year. And it's not just the size of the park, but it's obviously the way that the park is constructed, since it's so open. The heat and the wind impact things more just because it's so flat, essentially. There's no stands to protect it. JP Sears is not a good pitcher. He allows over 50% fly ball rate to righties. So, see, Aranda's someone tweeted at me earlier saying, Aranda better be in against Walker Buehler, which I think it's totally a fine play. I just don't have another hit parlay because I already have one. But Braves Athletics, JP Sears is terrible. He's a terrible pitcher, especially against righties. He has a 17% strikeout rate versus righties, so he's not punching out hitters at the plate. And this is why I partly like Acuna, because his power is so real. The fly balls are going to be carrying there. So he gets a little bit of juice at minus 130, shot for the best lines available. But we're going to see some runs. And the Braves bullpen has been atrocious. And there are hitters in the Athletics lineup. Like, people don't often look at it like, oh, it's the Athletics, or can give up runs. They also can score plenty of runs.
And that park has been a big place for runs to be scored. I mean, I remember when we were just at 8.5, 9.5 out of that park to start the year. And now we're sitting at 10.5. I'm looking on EV Analytics right now just to see overall this season, third most overs for the Athletics at home. You're up just under 8 units if you've been betting every over in Sacramento. They're 27, 18, and 2 to the over. Yeah. That's a just under 15% return on investment.
Like, when this often happens this happens with every sport, whether it's totals or sides. It's like, if you just find a team and consistently back them, like at the beginning of the year, who was it? Like the beginning of last basketball season, the Nets were really good at covering. They're a terrible team, but they were covering a lot of games. Like, they started off whatever it was, I don't know, 10-5 against the spread, despite the fact that they had a losing record. So, like, if you just consistently back a team, a total, whatever it might be in the NFL, you back overs and domes. Like, if you believe in the process and the information that you have, you can come out positive a lot of the time.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Corey Seager's on it here.
Jack for the Angels is terrible.
What?
Jack Kahanowitz, the pitcher for the Angels tonight, he's a terrible pitcher. Like, there are some absolutely horrible pitchers. Like, Randy Vasquez for the Padres is horrible. Josh Naylor's in a great spot. Walker Buehler's been terrible. The lefties from the Rays are in a great spot. Both
Rodriguez likes Ramirez.
Yeah, both Mike Soroka and Miles Michaelis for the Nats and the Cardinals, they are terrible. Michaelis is terrible. James Wood, he's going to hit a home run. It's going to happen today because Michaelis allows over a 50% fly ball rate versus lefties. Like, there are some truly terrible pitchers on the mound tonight.
Everyone here loves home run props. So, okay.
Stroman is worse. Yeah, I said it this morning on the early line. I am on the Mariners money line.
Well, it makes sense. The Mariners are favored at minus 116. Yankees are home dogs despite this 3-game winning streak and their bats being hot. Cody Bellinger and Aaron Judge have been on hot streaks as well.
They have, but Brian Wu is a great pitcher. Doesn't walk anyone. Yeah, Michaelis has given up 12 home runs in 6 games. Like, he's a terrible pitcher.
And there's no way the Yankees bullpen can hold on any longer. That thing is hanging on by a thread.
Probably not.
Weaver and Williams threw yesterday.
Yeah, it has not been good.
It's a hot mess in New York, but it's fine. It's summer, and I'm just going to distract myself with winners in the gambling world. Tom Vecchio gives those to us. Tom, thanks for coming on as always.
Thanks for having me. The home run derby is what, Monday?
Yeah.
So if you want me on, I will be ready.
I'm probably going to have this same duo, you and Jim Sonis, because you guys have the best analytics for this kind of stuff. I love it.
All right.
Thanks, Tom. See you next week. My turn. Let's go to the Prop Queen pods. Prop Queen edges. I know I just got distracted because I accidentally took Tom on screen because I am a bad producer. I'm doing pretty good, though. I feel like it's been I only like home runs on Tuesdays. We're going to talk home run derby on Monday. We've got the All-Star game on Tuesday. And that means also we are going to have MLB's going to fix the home run derby for Acuna. How do you fix the home run derby? What, you juice the balls? I guess. I don't know. We'll see. But you still have to hit the ball out of the park. Anyway, we've got Prop Queen edges. Let me just tweet that out that we have Prop Queen edges coming on right now. So let's talk some good, bad matchups today in Major League Baseball. Tyler Stevenson, he's 3 for 5 with a homer against Cal Quantrill. Jose Iglesias hitting 357 with 2 doubles and a homer against Eduardo Rodriguez. CJ Abrams hitting 385 with a home run against Michaelis. You could, if you like overly juiced props, I don't, but CJ Abrams over his hits, runs, and RBI has hit in 9 of 12 against the Cards, 5 of 7 at home. Overall, in the last 10 games, Abrams is averaging 2 hits, runs, and RBI, going over in 70% of his last 10. Travis d'Arnaud hitting 450 against Patrick Corbin. Corbin Carroll, 5 for 10 with 3 doubles against Randy Vasquez. Carroll, if you took him over half a run at -140, he's hit in 8 of 10 in San Diego. It's also cashed in 60% of Carroll's last 20 road games. Some bad matchups. Luis Garcia Jr., he's hitting 143, 2 for 14 against Miles Michaelis. If you take his under 1.5 total bases, it's cashed in 4 of Garcia's last 5 road games. Against St. Louis this season, the under's cashed in 7 of 11. Jorge Soler, he's 2 for 21 with 6 strikeouts against Patrick Corbin. If you take his under, it's very juiced at -160 for total bases, but it's hit in 69% of games this season, 7 of the last 10 at home. K-props to watch. I know that Jim Sonis is on the other side of this than me. I don't like betting high K-props to begin with. However, when looking at the last few pitchers to face this Athletics team, Shane Baz had 11. Ryan Pepio had 9. Will Warren, Clark Schmidt, and Bryce Elder had 7. If those pitchers can put up those numbers against the A's, Spencer Strider should have 10 strikeouts tonight. Again, it was very juiced this morning, -150 over 7.5. Then it was +1 something. I think it was like +106, +110, +105 for the over 8.5 Ks if you wanted Spencer Strider on 8.5. Just would be crazy. He'd have to really be smashed tonight, like some of you guys think, if he were to not hit this. JP Sears on the other side. I don't know if you're going to get the -138 this morning. And I'm going to tell you a little story about just placing bets when you like them. I said this on VSiN today, so if you listen to VSiN today, I'm sorry. So I'm doing the newsletter this morning. I always get through the whole newsletter because my goal is really to get the newsletter out to the premium subscribers in the morning instead of placing my bets, because that also takes me some time to shop lines. And I do that anyway through the newsletter, shopping lines at Pickett Sports to make sure that I get the best possible lines and I tell you them. This morning, I'm finishing the newsletter and I'm like, oh, I really like JP Sears, but let me just get through the entire newsletter so I know for sure if that's the one I want to bet or if I want to bet something else. By the time I go through the entire newsletter and I go back to bet JP Sears because I realize it's my favorite bet on the newsletter, it's juiced to like -175. So I'm pissed because I missed it And I'm fully honest with you that I missed the boat. It is still my favorite play of the day, and I have to go check on Pickett if it's available and if the juice dropped. But if it's minus 145 or less, I would take JP Sears over 3.5 Ks. He's gone over this in 7 of 11 starts against high K rate lineups against lefties. Southpaw starters, 13 of the 21 to face the A's went over, averaging 5.6 Ks a game. Sorry, against the Braves. 8 of the last 10 lefties to start against Atlanta had at least 4 strikeouts. So I love the over 3.5 Ks for JP Sears tonight. I was on the same side of this with Jim Sonis for Patrick Corbin over 4.5 strikeouts at plus 106. I'm not going to bet it because I don't like to bet the same thing twice. And I know that this was only his second start of the year against the Angels where Corbin had 6 Ks. If you don't mind that like I do, and I'm not saying it always loses, but I'm just saying I'm not going to bet it. But the numbers tell you that Corbin should go over 4.5 Ks. 12 of the 16 lefties to face the A's went over 4.5 Ks, averaging 6.2 strikeouts to start. 7 of the last 10 lefties to face the Angels went over 4.5 strikeouts, and it's plus money. So if you want that, go for it. Eduardo Rodriguez under 4.5 Ks. He's faced 2 low K rate teams this year. He had 1 against the Mets and 4 against the Jays. Both were on the road, just like he's on the road tonight. Erod, he had just 3 strikeouts in 4 2/3 last season against the Padres. Lefty starters. I keep getting a tickle in my throat today. 1 second. Hopefully I survive. Lefty starters are 11 and 17 over under their K prop, averaging 4.3 strikeouts to start against the Padres this season. 6 of the last 10 lefties have gone under 4.5 Ks against San Diego. Erod on the road against the low K rate team. I will take the under. I have water. I've been on for 2 hours. Decent before this, and I have a post-nasal drip. I sound fine, but and I feel fine, but when you get that tickle in your throat, oh, it sucks. My minus 150 Fanatics best on Sears. That sucks, but do what you got to do. These are the pitcher props powered by props.cash. These are the 2 that if you use props.cash, you would see that they like it to happen. And if you cross-reference it with the propqueen.com props, if you cross-reference it with the pitcher prop spreadsheet on the propqueen.com, you would see that both of these are very correlated. Michael Soroka under 17.5 outs. It's cashed in 6 of 7 road starts for him this season. Starters are averaging 17 outs a game against the Cardinals this year. Jack Kanowitz under 6.5 hits allowed. He's gone under this in 5 of 8 home starts this season, averaging 6 hits per start allowed at home. And the Rangers are averaging 4.9 hits per game against starters, with 7 of the last 10 going under 6.5. There were a lot of 6-hit games for Texas, so the key number here is 6.5 for the under. Hitter props, which Soto we already mentioned. Oh my God, I misspelled Judge. This is what happens when you rush. Judge, not Juge. Judge. Wow, I'm embarrassed. Aaron Judge over his hits, runs, and RBI. Judge has gone over this prop in 5 of 6 games at home against the Mariners this season. He's 3 for 8 with 2 singles and 1 double against the Mariners right-hander Brian Wu. He's hitting .310 against Seattle in his career. When Judge is at home at night against a right-hander, he's gone over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI in 64% of games. At home, Judge owns a .348 batting average. Against righties, he's hitting .363. Now, if you want to ride the Cody Bellinger hot train, he's on a 14-game hit streak, going over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI in 12 of those 14 games. Hitter props that are not in New York. Well, we already mentioned Ramirez. That game already started. James Wood over his hits, runs, and RBI. He's gone over this in 4 of 5 games this season in St. Louis. On the road, Wood's averaging 2.6 hits, runs, and RBI, going over 1.5 in 63% of games in 8 of the last 10. He's also hitting .333 in 5 career games at Busch Stadium. And then before I get to the Royal Locks of the day, I do have a couple WNBA props that I mentioned in the PropQueen.com newsletter this morning. Jackie Young screwed us over in the last game. She's not doing it again. Under 22.5 points and assists. This was her first game. Her last game was the first time she even went over her points prop on the road. She's still never gone over her points and assists prop on the road. She's averaging, Jackie Young, 16 points and assists on the road this season. She's also averaging 19.7 points and assists against the Mystics this year, which drops to 17.2 when she's on the road in Washington. The Mystics allow the 4th least assists per game. 6 of the last 8 guards to face the Mystics have gone under their points and assist prop. Then as for the Washington guard, Brittany Sykes, under 20.5 points and assists. She just went over this prop in the last game against the Aces, but prior to that, went under in all 6 of their matchups. She's averaging Sykes 13.6 points and assists against Vegas this season, going under this prop in all 3 home games. 59% of guards have gone under their points and assists prop when facing the Aces, including 71% in the last 10. Those are my WNBA props for tonight. Really screwed us over. None of the props hit. Careful, Aja Wilson's out. Usage goes up for Young. Oh, that's fine. That makes sense. You're right. That could make sense. Do you go off a prop line if it moves? Sykes is now 19.5. Yeah, because it's still below her average of her average is 13.6 against Vegas. So, and guards have not been successful in this spot. So, yeah, I would say the same thing applies. But we're going now to my best bets of the day, which of course is in Major League Baseball and the strikeout prop market. So let's get to Royal Locks. Royal Locks, JB Sears over 3.5 Ks. Like I said, if you could get this for anything below -150, I would go for it because I missed it. He's gone over this in 7 of 11 starts against high K rate lineups against lefties. 13 of the 21 lefties to face the Braves have gone over this, averaging 5.6 strikeouts a game. 8 of the last 10 have also gone over this number against Atlanta, so I would take the over there. If you can't get that number, then go for Eduardo Rodriguez under 4.5 Ks. He's faced 2 low K rate teams this year. The Mets and the Blue Jays went under in both. He only had 3 strikeouts last year against the Padres. Lefty starters, 17 unders, just 11 overs, averaging 4.3 Ks a start against San Diego. 6 of the last 10 lefties have gone under 4.5 Ks against the Padres. So I would be looking at the under there for Eduardo Rodriguez under 4.5 Ks tonight. Marley is crying. That is sad. Let's go Padres. Broadway Wicked night at the Mystics tonight. Pickett. Yeah, everyone go to Pickett. Pickett is great. You could track all your bets there. You could track my bets there. Yes, I actually bet. You can also, my favorite part of Pickett is that you can find the best lines. So literally in the propqueen.com newsletter, all I do is look at Pickett every morning so that I can shop for the absolute best lines because that is obviously important. I still do have the giveaway too. Oh, do I do pitcher outs? Yeah, I do. I just mentioned pitcher prop outs. Michael Soroka under 17.5 outs today. That's because he's gone under this in 6 of 7 road starts, and starters were averaging just 17 outs per game against the Cardinals. So that's my favorite outs prop for tonight in Major League Baseball. A lot of the numbers that I use are on props.cash or the strikeout prop spreadsheet. Well, the MLB prop spreadsheet. But I use both. When both hit, when both say that it should hit, whether it's an under and over, is when I bet it. So you can get $10 off the first month using promo code PropQueen by going to props.cash. And I've got a guy over there who every time one of you signs up tells me your email, and you can ask Black Nate, you could ask, someone else did too. Someone else. Oh, Keith also. You could ask both of them. And I immediately granted them premium subscription to the Prop Queen newsletter. They both got the premium subscription to the newsletter this morning for free. So $10 off means it's just $9.99 for your first month of props.cash. You could see all of the charts that I've been showing you. And you can also get my analysis of it through the Prop Queen newsletter. So if you are not like me, like you would get my newsletter and be able to get JP Sears over his K prop before I did, before it got to -175 this morning, you have that kind of access on the Prop Queen newsletter. So go sign up to props.cash. My guy will let me know when one of you guys signs up with promo code PropQueen, and I will make sure that you get a free month premium subscription to the Prop Queen newsletter and your $10 off of props.cash. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. No show tomorrow. I'm going to post everything on the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. Mid-Major Matt and I are going to discuss our favorite MLB props tomorrow on the Prop Queen Sports YouTube page. I'll make sure to post when it is available. It'll probably be available by 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. I've got to actually, ironically, get to Yankee Stadium tomorrow by like 5 p.m. My friend's having her birthday there, so I have to be there at some point. But I will also be on Make It Rain tomorrow, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time on VSiN. I will also have everything posted to YouTube. Good luck for your bets tonight. Thank you to Jim Sonis for your NASCAR and MLB bets. Thank you to Tom Vecchio for your MLB bets. All of it is posted to the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. So subscribe, like. It all really helps. And you can catch any of it if you missed it. I will speak to you guys on Monday, but you could see me tomorrow on the